All right, today we're diving into something, well, something pretty wild. It's a plan that wants to fix one of the biggest economic challenges the US is facing, but not with old school policy. No, it's with a tool that's radically new. So let's get right into it. Okay, look at this number, $34 trillion. That's the US national debt right now. I mean, it's a number so huge it's hard to even wrap your head around. Just let that sit there for a second. And yeah, that leads us to the real monster question here. How on earth do you even begin to tackle a problem that big? Well, the proposal we're looking at today has an answer you are probably not expecting. So let's really frame this challenge. Normally, you hear solutions like raising taxes or cutting spending. But the plan we're about to unpack, it takes a hard left turn away from all of that.
Yep. The plan we're digging into says the answer isn't in Washington, it's not on Wall Street, it's in the world of Bitcoin.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this thing. A truly radical Bitcoin strategy. And look, we're not just talking about buying a little crypto here and there. No. This is a massive, multi-decade financial engineering project on a national scale.
And this quote just sums up the sheer ambition of it all perfectly. The goal here is to completely change how we see Bitcoin, taking it from this, speculative asset on the fringes and making it the literal cornerstone of America's economic policy.
So what's the big picture? Well, at its core, this is a long game. We're talking about a 20-year roadmap to build up a massive, strategic Bitcoin reserve and then leverage its projected growth to literally wipe out the national debt. So where does a plan this huge even begin? Well, it all starts with phase 1, strategic accumulation. This is all about one thing, buying up a ton of Bitcoin. Now, take a look at these numbers, because what's wild here is the sheer scale and speed of the buying. The plan lays out this super aggressive 5-year program, kicking off with 250,000 Bitcoin in the first year and ramping all the way up to 500,000 in year 5. So you're probably wondering, how do you buy that much Bitcoin without sending the price to the moon? Well, the plan actually proposes leaning on some existing heavy hitters. It suggests using a company like MicroStrategy as the engine for leveraged buys, while deploying BlackRock's massive infrastructure to provide liquidity and, stop the market from going haywire. Okay, so let's say they do it. The US now has this giant mountain of Bitcoin. What's next? That brings us to phase 2, which the document calls the debt conversion machine. And the idea behind this quote-unquote machine is actually pretty straightforward. As Bitcoin's value grows over time, and the plan assumes it will, the US can use a tiny slice of that growth to systematically chip away at the national debt. It's like a self-funding payoff system. So here's how it's supposed to work, step by step. First, Bitcoin's value appreciates. Based on that growth, a small fraction gets sold off. That cash goes straight into a dedicated debt elimination fund, and that fund has only one job, paying off government bonds as they come due. Simple as that. And you can really see the snowball effect right here on this chart. According to their projections, it starts pretty small, right? Less than $1 billion in 2029. But as that Bitcoin pile grows in value, the payoff starts to accelerate big time, hitting almost $33 billion in cumulative reduction by 2035. And all of this builds up to the final, most mind-boggling part of the plan, the end game. And honestly, this is where the numbers just go completely off the charts. So in the final 10 years of this plan, the goal is to weave Bitcoin right into the fabric of the US fiscal system. We're talking about introducing things like Bitcoin-backed government bonds, all building towards a projected Bitcoin price of $1 million by 2040. At that point, the system is designed to be a completely self-sustaining engine. And here it is, the ultimate target. It's not just about paying off the debt anymore. It's about creating a strategic reserve valued at $81 trillion. That's more than double the debt we started with. So, what kind of Bitcoin price do you need for that to happen? Well, the plan's math requires the price of a single Bitcoin to reach, get this, over $16 million. Just let that number sink in for a minute. Okay, I know what you're thinking. A plan this huge, with numbers that big, it has to be incredibly risky, right? And you're not wrong. The document itself totally acknowledges this. And it proposes several safeguards to try and manage the extreme volatility and uncertainty. So to handle the wild price swings, they talk about a 5% reserve held totally offline in cold storage, kind of like an emergency fund. They also mention circuit breakers that would automatically halt buying if the market goes crazy. And to make sure progress is always happening, there's a debt conversion floor, a guaranteed minimum amount of debt paid off each year, no matter what the market does.
And a huge piece of this whole risk management puzzle is leaning on those big institutions we talked about earlier. By giving specific jobs to major players, MicroStrategy does the buying, BlackRock keeps the market stable. The idea is to use the financial system we already have to pull off something totally unprecedented.
So when you really boil it all down, what this entire proposal is arguing for is a complete paradigm shift. It's a vision where the foundation of future U.S. fiscal policy isn't the dollar as we know it, but a strategic reserve of a decentralized digital asset.
Which, of course, leaves us with one massive lingering question, doesn't it? Is this some kind of forward-thinking financial masterstroke? A genius way to solve an impossible problem? Or is it maybe the single biggest economic gamble in the history of the world? That's the question this plan puts on the table.